About a year and a half back, almost 2 years back, the government started the Ayushman Bharat, which is the largest insurance scheme for more than 50 crore population of India. It's globally the largest insurance cover which is given, up to 5 lakhs per family as a floating cover. To integrate that with the digital health mission, it is something which was much needed. Very few countries in the world actually have this kind of integration, which include US, Canada, UK, Australia, for example. But this kind of mission was much needed. When you talk in terms of digitalization of healthcare with a unified healthcare card, what we call as a UHID, that's unique hospital identification number or health identification digitalized number, is a 14-digit number. The basic endpoints of this is to give clinical excellence, one. Second is operative excellence. That's two. Third is to give a better patient experience. Fourth is the huge concept of e-health and teleconsultation. Five is to have a seamless integration of connectivity, which is called as also interportability across states and in various languages integrated. Point number 7 is accountability of healthcare, which will include ensuring quality of health services, transparency of health management, and safety of the patient. And more importantly is overall, it gives you a better utilization of the limited healthcare services. So when you talk in terms of clinical excellence as point number 1, so this kind of device gives you a 40% decrease in misdiagnosis, more than 45% decrease in readmissions, which are generally not required, and 50% better utilization of beds and OT services, operation theater services. So the basic aim is to move from affordable, accredited, and accessible healthcare now to personal, primary, preventive, predictive, and proactive healthcare. Extremely important issue over here is when patients are in the hospital till about 15 or 20 years back, the third most leading cause of death worldwide was human error, which was contributing 9 to 10% of overall deaths. Now with the digitalization of healthcare, this has reduced to less than 1% in certain countries, primarily because the human angle to make error has been eliminated. So it links doctors, hospitals, primary healthcare centers, tertiary, quaternary care on one hand, to a patient as a patient family based on the other, links them very integratedly to the TPAs and the insurance companies, and also to track the pharmacies and the kind of medication the patient is receiving. All this amounts to the last point, what we call as data. Now, 70 to 80% of Indian healthcare data is still unstructured because it's not captured. Unless until you don't have data, you will never get an accurate demographic and epidemiological profiling of diseases, doctor distribution, specialty wise. You will not know which kind of diseases are brimming or simmering in which part of the country. So this will give you a profiling of disease. This can give you a very early alert towards disease trends, especially to track infectious diseases on one hand, like the pandemic is, and the second is to integrate the non-communicable diseases, which is the commonest ones being tracking hypertension, asthma, cancers, neurological diseases, COPD, and so on, cardiac diseases. Also with this data, you will be able to get more numbers in a data analytic form, and therefore better research to have more preventive healthcare. This kind of device will also offer patients convenience in which they don't have to carry huge amount of records, ultrasounds, MRIs, CTs, PET scans in different locations, because it will actually act as your health credit card. So all you need is to swipe this or to plug it in even as a pen drive to any hospital location, and with the unique login number, the hospital or the doctors will be able to So with a simple plugging in or a swipe of this, you'll get all the information, which will include prescriptions, doctors' medications, the clinical history, the operative details, the kind of regimes of the protocols, especially in long-term care patients, kidney patients, dialysis patients, chronic care patients on chemotherapy or immunosuppressants and so on. Also, this will give a very, very good and much needed alert as to patient allergies, patient's past history of adverse reaction to certain drugs. It will also give you a very good inner alert to drug interactions. There are certain drugs not to be used with certain list of medications and so on. Plus, you will get a very good insight into what we call as a national healthcare antibiotic policy. I think the most abused and misused drugs are antibiotics. So we'll be able to have a more concise picture as to the kind of antibiotics being used, especially in the large corporate hospitals and government teaching hospitals. There are protocols, but a vast majority of doctors are GPs or primary care physicians who do not have a control on the kind of medications they're using. It is not unusual to see a patient with fever to have not 2, but even up to 3 antibiotics, whereas not even 1 would originally be required. We will be able to track the lab data. We will get an insight into research on common issues like iron deficiency, anemia, thalassemia, folic acid deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, profiling, and so on. Also, we will be able to track the largest segment, which is unstructured, which is the pharmacies. Now, ever since the over-the-counter medication, which is being delivered to patients, home delivery of medication, even scheduled drugs sometimes are being given by large number of pharmacies and chemists without prescriptions. I think this will be able to track the line of medication being dispensed by the pharmacies. And I think the pharmacies and the chemists also need to come under the gamut of certain strictly driven protocols and rules and regulations. Apart from that, we will be able to track what we call as morbidity and mortality. Now, no hospital in India at the present moment is publishing the clinical results. This is a huge lacuna, and hospitals are always reluctant to do that, and for reasons best known to them. But I think it's important to know, if you have done 500 cardiac surgeries in a year, the number of 500 is not important. But what is important is how did they perform at 1 year end, at 2 year end, what we call as all-cause mortality at the end of 4 years or 5 years, especially transplant patients. How many had hyperacute rejections? How many had acute rejections? How many had chronic rejections? How many went back into hemodialysis? How many had a retransplant, joint replacements again? So these are segments which are totally unmonitored at the present moment. So I think that will come under preview. More importantly, we will know what we call as behavioral AI. So I think this is a huge concept in which you will tend to know which kind of families or which kind of patients are having what kind of disease profiling at what time of the year, at what frequency. Also, the kind of medication they tend to settle on. This platform can also work beautifully well as messages, public awareness platforms to alert patients. So really the endpoint is early diagnosis, early treatment to prevent long-term complications. And the next automatic correlation with this next step forward would be what we call as integrate this with genomics AI. So I think a lot of diseases are now being genetically diagnosed. So we want to know what your gene profiling is, not chromosomal, but gene profiling. A lot of hypertensions, patients with epilepsy, with large amount of anticonvulsant drugs, and so on. Now there is a huge concept of getting gene profiling done so that we know what kind of medication actually settles which kind of patients from a gene expression point of view. And then, of course, is to integrate this into larger platforms of artificial intelligence, virtual reality, or augmented thinking. So I think this is a great move forward. It's extremely good because you integrate people, processes, and technology on one platform, and this will hugely decompress the hospitals, which are overbulging at the present moment. So if you can access medical consultation on an e-platform, this will at least take away an unnecessary visiting crowds of almost 20-30%, and another 10 to 20% add-on of visitors, which are a huge contributory role to the hospital-acquired infections. So I think what we see is important, and the hidden benefits of this are even more. I think this is it's a great move, excellent move, and e-consultations itself is a huge chapter, which will include online consultations, e-pathology, teleradiology, telepsychiatry, to have virtual management of ICUs and OTs. So it has various tangents which can be drawn into. So I think this platform is excellent. The main focus would be long-term would be security of data and no breach, what we call as firewall ring fencing. So I'm sure there would be enough technology put in to make sure that the confidentiality of the data and there is no breach of trust of patient confidentiality. Long and short of it.